one of the reasons why I think isekai anime and fantasy anime at large is so interesting is because it plays into the absolute satisfaction of character types. The wizard, the knight, the archer, the rogue, the ranger, the list goes on. But surprisingly enough, there's a couple of those that have very little concepts of them, specifically within a world that you want to see that class explore. In comes Skeleton Knight, which surprisingly enough, there's not a lot of heavy armored, cladded knights that explore a fantasy world. And this being anime, of course they add some sugar on top, which is the fact that he is an undead. He is a skeleton behind that beautiful paladin golden white armor that you've seen in damn near every MMO. It's the story. Boy plays game, grinds the game to hell, ends up falling asleep at his keyboard, ends up waking up in New World, now embodying the character he built. Along with, juiced up to the 9, having some OP abilities, merging a lot of classes together, making him absolutely giga strong. But he is undead because that was his character lore. A fallen hero who lost his humanity, set off on a journey to reclaim it. Well, this hunk of skeleton and steel is named Ark, and he sets off into the world trying to keep his head down while he explores and gets his ground. One of the things I think Skeleton Knight does extremely well is has fun with the things that it's given. So many times in isekai shows or fantasy shows at large, they're like, here's an ability, here's another ability, here's another ability, okay, and another one. And nothing ever gets developed, or the cool factor of that ability never really settles in. It never really gets extrapolated on why and how good this could be. And one of the things that you find out really early on in the first episode is that Ark has the ability to teleport anywhere he can see, really. And instead of just being like, oh my god, how cool, he can do that, instead they have fun with it and maximize its broken nature, like allowing him to chain summon and teleport infinite distances. Basically, if you just spammed the teleport key, you would just be able to zip across mass distances. And also, that sounds broken. You're a melee person who literally can get on the top of somebody if he can see them. That's crazy. That is awesome. So instead of just rushing by that, they let that settle in. Another thing this show does so spectacularly well is remind all of us how hot elves are. Just, oh my god, holy moly, my god. But on a serious note, this formula is something I don't think I'll ever get tired of. The protagonist and his companion, the hero and his supporter, etc. It is fantastic, especially when you actually play video games. You have a companion that's keeping you company and telling you things about the world. It's lovely. And seeing the world. This show knows exactly what makes fantasy so damn good. New worlds, new desert areas, new bright forests, new races to meet. And Ark is a total weirdo who loves all of it. Ark is one of the rare protagonist I think genuinely represents what a person would be if in this situation, which is, oh my god, the things that I've been experiencing, fantasy games, movies, Lord of the Rings, all these things are right in front of me, and that's fucking cool. It's really exciting and cool, instead of it being like, well, been there, done that, have seen a goblin. I don't think, if you've seen a goblin, I don't think seeing like an orc or an ogre would be not incredibly unique as well. Anywho, the visual element to the show, the design is on par. Like I said, elf, so hot. Second thing, Ark looks so iconic. He looks iconic in the same sense that you've seen his armor in other MMOs. But they add just this nice twist with this brilliant fox-like creature that just hovers over him and is constantly around him. And it just seals off his iconic look. This is someone, even if they weren't that great or didn't have that much power, is iconic enough that they would become a legend. This giant armor-cladded brute who always wears a helmet and has this fairy-tailed spiritual creature fox just jumping around him like he's a jungle gym. It is so clever and so unique. Anyways, one thing that if I could criticize the show a little bit, and I would tell you guys really quick, the intro of this show, the episode 1, might be hard for some of you to watch, because one of the things that's evident is, par of the course in every conceivable fantasy show that's out there, anime, manga, manhwa, human beings are the worst, are so goddamn bad. Every man, it's never a woman, I don't mean to get the whole stuff, it's always a dude being giga creepy, and not even, it's just the art, no good, it's just all that, and it's just man, golly. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe we should all, if we're in a fantasy world, let's hope we're like an elf or like a goblin, maybe even, no, not definitely not goblin. Worse, in fact, for the goblin. Something that every fantasy manga always adheres to is that goblins are just gross, a salty thing. Anyway, except for slime. Slime was just wholesome. Anyway, that part was less good. Now, not because it was just like, yeah, a dude being portrayed as a weirdo. It was just that it seemed like it was extremely uncreative. It was always the same dude being sinisterly evil without any cause, which I think is the point. I think the show is trying to be like, no, if we show you guys like different layers, it's just gonna take up too much time. We want to show you delivery, setup, punch. Delivery, setup, punchline. Constant action, constantly this beautiful elf, a cute fox, and this man with an extraordinary amount of power, embarking on the world and without even trying, changing it. This is a beautiful system, but it does feel a little lazy. If there is a criticism there, it feels a little lazy that all of the evil people are just so diabolically evil is the best way I could describe it. Not like creatively, like, oh, they have motivations, they are trying to make sure that they can remain okay. It's just like, no, he's just, for no explanation is given, worst human being ever, all dudes, all just scum. God, hope you don't reincarnate as a fucking human being. Yuck. Bad time. Unlucky. Now, that aside, Skeleton Knight, I think, is going to be a show that's for a lot of people. I do think it is a show that is repetitive in if you've seen isekai after isekai, with the same, like, jovial premise, then I think it could get a little run down, because Arc is quite good, with the exception of wanting wealth is, like, the only thing that he's kind of not holier than thou. The Elf Girl is extraordinarily fun. Again, I think this is just a show, if you've seen a lot of like super squeaky clean heroic journeys, it's another heroic journey that's squeaky clean, saved a little bit by the gratuitous and grittiness of human beings in the show. You have this like bastion of light, which of course is your three main characters, but you also have the horror of the everything else, of like, you know, kidnapping, slavery. Every human is just, again, freakishly evil, torturous, all that. But largely, that might be just enough to give you guys some spice. But I do think this show is like kind of made to not alienate. It's made to be very, very openly enjoyable. I think it's also something that I found that I consumed ravenously. Like, I found myself at the 8th episode within the first day, and I was like, oh wow, that hasn't happened in a while. Cool. But I also don't I don't look back and think, oh my god, this show is like made me have so many different ways of thinking about things, and it was so fresh to have this. It was just like, it knew the pace and resonance just to keep you just satisfied enough to want another episode, which is good, which is great. But I would categorize this show into the space of watch this in between watching something super dark or super anxiety inducing. It's a blanket, it's a cushion before you go into hell, which is, some animes get real heavy. You know, this is just a nice hug with some unfortunate, unsavory human characters, but largely, yeah, that's evident. And what's also evident is, oh my god, elves are so awesome. She looks, again, what, goddamn. Also, if you like power fantasy, that's taken care of. If you like the kind of savior character, that's taken care of. One thing I think the show does perfectly well is style. I kind of mentioned that in a weird way, but style. It is iconic, and to me, that's why it's so awesome to watch, is because the story you've heard before, but the visuals you've seen along with it look spectacular. Shout out to the animators that did such a wonderful job. I do not know if we'll get a season 2. It was quite successful in terms of the anime community, I think, largely enjoying the softness of it, but it didn't like do anything so different that I think a lot of the people want more. I have a feeling it's going to be like one of these shows that gets picked up in like 6 years, and then we're like, woohoo! Ladies and gentlemen, you give me far too much of your time. Go spend it on this lovely show. Thank you kindly for your time, and goodbye. Also, I think it's for everyone. Go watch the show. Bye.